Welcome to the Elevate Your Call to Service podcast. Here we provide tips, tools, and resources to help law enforcement officers succeed at work and in life. I'm your host, Michael McIntosh, retired sheriff and current bureau chief in the Denver metro area. In today's episode, I'm happy to introduce a special guest, my wife, Cathy McIntosh. With 36 years as a law enforcement spouse, she speaks the terms of law enforcement almost as well as I do. Cathy is a business coach and is here to share the steps and the importance of creating a life plan. Cathy, welcome to the podcast. And thank you for walking us through this.
Yeah, it's exciting to be here. One of the problems that I have seen over and over again in law enforcement is that the daily grind really starts to take over. I know that I've watched that happen in your career and in a lot of our friends. And maybe we start out in the law enforcement career thinking that we want to do this, we want to accomplish that, we want to promote, we want to help a certain sector of the population overcome a particular problem. But when life starts to kick in, it starts to diminish our goals and dreams. We get so wrapped up in the daily, we can't see past the mundane. What happens then is that life really starts to feel empty and meaningless, and that's not where any of us want to be. So it's important to remember that we started this career, and I say it like I'm in it, and I'm not, but that's how vicariously I live through you. But we started this career to make a difference, and it shouldn't feel so hard to move forward and serve our community the way that we feel called to serve them. We don't want to look back at the end of a law enforcement career and have regrets over the things that we thought we were going to accomplish. We thought this was going to be part of the dream and then realized we never even took the first steps to start to make that happen. So I'm really excited to be here today because I'm sharing that with intentional steps, we can take control of our own careers, whether it's law enforcement or business building or whatever that is. We can take control of our career and our life and fill it with direction and meaning so we don't look back and just have regret at the end of our career or even at the end of our life. And today I'm excited to share with you just how to walk through creating a life plan and creating an intentional path to do the things that you feel called to do.
Well, I'm excited about it because this is something that you walk through with me. And I've also been involved in you walking through this process with other folks in law enforcement that I've been associated with. And it's really impactful to be able to walk through something like this and make sure that we are setting ourselves up for success.
I like to help people imagine how will it look at the end of your life, looking backwards towards your life and career, and know that you did the work you felt called to do. You accomplished your goals. You brought them to reality, and you helped the people that you wanted to help when you stepped into law enforcement in the first place. And then ask the question, really, how many lives could you impact if you followed your dreams and used a path and a plan to make a difference on the lives that you're called to touch?
Yeah, as I look back and knowing that, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 years ago that we first walked through this, or you kind of walked me through this. When I got to the end of it, those things that you just mentioned, I looked back and thought, boy, if I only had this when I started my career, there would have been different roads that I may have traveled, not great deviations, but little deviations to set us up differently as a law enforcement officer, as a family, as a father. So it's really important. And one of the reasons why we brought this to those that were going through the academy, and making sure that they really understood that it may sound a little funny when you first get into law enforcement to think about the end of your career.
Sure.
But to be as successful as you would like to be, to really set yourself up in the future, it's really important to walk through a process like this to make sure that you don't miss steps along the way. And you also talk about that mundane, and it is so easy to get wrapped up in the day to day, the things that are going on. And in law enforcement, it's funny because a lot of things that we do, we have to react to, but we always want to get to a place where we can be proactive in law enforcement. And this is proactive in our career, proactive in our family life. It just sets everything up so that we can be the best version of ourselves as a mother, as a father, as a husband, a wife, and a community member, and a member of a law enforcement team.
Yeah, I know, when you were on the jail floor or working as a patrol deputy, your shifts are long. You're exhausted. There's a lot of energy that's pulled out of you and really drains you as a person. By the time you get home, you're kind of spent. And so it's hard to look at balancing that type of a schedule with healthy family life, with pursuing something even outside of law enforcement, with protecting your friendships. And so having a life plan in place and being able to review it day after day helps keep priorities straight, helps keep life in perspective so that as an officer, you're not completely railroaded by the job. There's more to you than just what you do inside your uniform. So we like to help everyone just balance that out and know that you're a full, complete person. You don't have to just be only a cop all the time. And this is one of those tools that can help people accomplish that and do more. I also see that because of that schedule and that heavy drain that you feel, you start to lose sight of the dreams and goals that you came into the career with. You actually even start to lose hope that they're even possible. Oh, that was just a pipe dream. I was just, imagining an idealistic future, and that's never going to come about. And there's times also when you're in the heavy parts of law enforcement or just the worldview that's come upon this profession in the last few years, you start to wonder if you're on the right path, if you're in the right career, if you're really making a difference, if anybody notices, if anybody cares. And when you have a life plan in place and you're able to balance your priorities, it helps keep your mental health in check as well, because you know that you're doing good and you can see it and feel it and taste it. And so can your immediate family when nobody else in the world seems to.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to, if you start to derail, or if life happens, and it's going to, things are not going to, you're not going to be able to set a plan and go through the checklist and everything's going to happen perfectly. But as a life happens and you walk through different seasons in your career and in your life, it's nice to be able to have a document that can get you put back on that path where you need to pick up from. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this type of planning. And it does go, just like you said, to help you with that hope when times are tough and you're going through the grind, when you're going through the mundane. Sometimes it's nice to say, but this is what I'm working for, and it helps get you through some of those more difficult seasons that you walk through. We're talking about a life plan. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely.
It's going to take time to be able to develop that, but to be able to have a document that helps take you through where you need to go is, I believe, essential in order for you to achieve that success that you would like to see for yourself and for your family.
Simon Sinek is really good about talking about knowing your why and letting that fuel you. And that's a really big piece of law enforcement and why a lot of officers and deputies get into the profession in the first place. And having a life plan will help you stay in touch with that why and really hold on to it, hold to it as your life preserver, and remind yourself that this is the reason I'm sacrificing my time, my energy, my focus, my sometimes my mental health, sometimes my hope and the ability to see life in a positive sense. These are the reasons why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. When we did this a number of years ago, the first process of creating a life plan is, I like to say, we're either going to write your eulogy, which is really creepy to some people, or you're going to write your retirement speech for somebody else to read, maybe at your retirement party. That's kind of a little bit healthier way to look at it. And I know that when you and I walked through it the first time, it was only the eulogy. I'm like, no, baby, you have to write your eulogy. And you rejected that so vehemently. You were just mad at me. You didn't want to do it. I just kept encouraging. It took you a couple of weeks to actually get to the point where you could start reverse engineering your life, is what we call it, and look at things from the end perspective backwards, and put those pieces together. And then I think when you finally grasped it, it was a valuable exercise. And I think you could see it as that.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting for different people when they have to, they kind of look at the end, right? And it depending upon what season of their life that they're in, or what they might currently be going through at the time, that may not be something that they really want to take a look at. I've never been in a place where I've been afraid of dying.
Sure.
But to actually try to put an age at which I was going to die, and we kind of laughed and talked about, what that age would be. Is it 86? Is it 92? Is it you're going to live longer than I do? I'm going to live longer than you do.
We still argue about that now.
We still argue about it.
Yeah.
But it was very, very difficult. You're absolutely. In fact, I was not happy
I know.
when we got to this point in this process. And one of the things that made it easier for me is to not look at it as the eulogy, but what does it look like from a career perspective? What is it that I want to accomplish in my career before I hang up the gun belt?
So again, we really like to refer to this as reverse engineering your life, and you're taking a look at your life from an ending milestone. And just as you said, it's a lot easier for a lot of people to think the end of your career, which is sometimes equally as painful. But you want to look at it when you've accomplished everything and you feel ready to, as you said, hang up your gun belt. So the point is to envision all you've accomplished and really write it down in a celebratory way. This is not a sad moment. This is a happy accomplishment, celebration of your career, celebration of your life. So this is not intended to be morbid. It might feel that way, but it's really intended to look back and celebrate your accomplishments. So the first step, and I'm just going to walk through the process of doing it. There's a lot more to this process than you and I will be able to cover in a podcast episode. But I can hit the highlights today and help people just even start thinking about some of the topics that they need to think through to create a life plan. So the first thing, and you had a hard time with this, was estimate how many years you have left in your career or your life. That can depend on your health. It can depend on when you meet the rules of retirement. It can depend on your family genealogy, a lot of things. It's just a guess. Just guess how many more years you're going to be working, or how many more years you think you might be on this earth. The second step is to make a list of the people that you want to show a lifetime of love and devotion to. And so this helps keep them as your main priority. Like, this is not all about work. This is not all about your career. You don't want your family and your loved ones to get lost in your career goals. So we're just going to declare right from the start that those people are important to you and that you're committed to showing a life of love and devotion to them. The next step is to think about a big vision that you want to accomplish before you're finished. That could be an ultimate promotion or a position or some assignment on a task force or working with the state on some big project. It can be anything that you can imagine. It could be setting up a nonprofit to help victims of trafficking. And the sky's the limit. Whatever you can dream up of, what big vision do you want to accomplish before you finish? And then this gets a little hard, but how do you want people to feel on the day that you announce your retirement or the day that they hear you've passed? You and I have talked about that a little bit, and in your own career, when you announce your retirement, you really want your agency full of people to say, man, he's really going to be missed. We're going to miss his leadership. We're going to miss his positive attitude. We're going to miss just his collaboration and his camaraderie and the way that he built us up as a team. That's what you want people to say. So those are the types of things that you can think through. You can also look back to that list of people that you want to show that love and devotion to and think, what do you want them to say? How do you want them to feel? For me, when you retire, I'm going to say, woohoo, I get my husband back. And it's going to be a great thing. So those are the types of things you want to consider. The next few questions kind of go hand in hand with those. What do you want most in life? What is it that you're after? Don't lose sight of that. Write it down. What are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? What will your vision do to help other people in the world? Once you've answered those questions and really spent a lot of time thinking through them, you want to write out your retirement speech. And maybe you're going to imagine that someone else is going to read this on your behalf. Sometimes it feels a little arrogant to say those words about yourself. But say those arrogant words about yourself. Build yourself up and know that it is an accomplishment to finish what you set out to finish. It could also, as I mentioned, be your eulogy. You just want to write it out as if your goals and your dreams and your visions are already accomplished. You want to think about how it felt, how it impacted people around you, and share the importance of your family and how they fed into that along the way as well.
And I think the beauty in that, and it goes back to what we talked about, when you finally write those things down and you start to look at what it is that you want other people to say about you or to have felt about you, or the accomplishment of going through that career or through life, whatever it is, it does provide that motivation at difficult times or tough times or struggling times that you may go through during this process as this plan is unfolding over the course of several decades, right? Is what we hope. So I like the fact that it's always something that you can draw back to provide that hope and that purpose. Like you said, the why, as to, why am I getting out of bed today? Why am I going to work today? Or, what is it that I need to be working on in order to hear those words towards the end of the retirement or towards the end of your life.
Yeah, so that's the first part is writing out that celebratory speech or eulogy. And then we want to work on creating actually vision for your life. So we're going to do a 10-year vision, a 5-year vision, and a 1-year vision. We're going to start with a vision of your life from the perspective of 10 years from now. So we're going to project that 10-year vision first. So just think about how old you're going to be. Write that down. And then start to just do some bullet points about how will your career look 10 years from now? What will you have accomplished? It could be promotions. It could be rank. It could be people that you've helped. It could be the way that people think about you. Sometimes there needs to be a huge transformation in that. Maybe you're seen as the cynical jerk at work and you want to get over that. And you want to start being the one who is positive and uplifting. So what are you going to do to make that happen? In 10 years from now, you want to accomplish that. So put that down as a bullet point and say, I want to be known as a positive person. I want to be a lieutenant or a commander or a captain or whatever. I want to do this, this, and this in my career. So just make bullet points of how you want your career to look 10 years from now. Then do the same thing with your family and your friends. How are your relationships? Are they healthy? Are they strained? Have you prioritized the people who mean the most to you in the world? What activities do you enjoy together? Do you like to travel? Do you like to rock climb? Do you like to just get out and hike? What is it? How do you cultivate your relationships? So paint that visual picture just in bullet points on how you want your closest relationships to look. Next, you want to look at your health. How have you cared for yourself, your body, for your mind, your mental health? What health goals have you achieved? And then also take a look at your spiritual goals. Do you embrace a higher power? What specific steps do you take to protect and nurture your spiritual life? When you do that, you have a fairly complete picture of how you want your life to look in 10 years. You might also do some bullet points about finances, or there might be other categories that you want to add to this that are important to you. It's completely okay. Do the things that you think are most important to you and just bullet point list how you want them to look 10 years from now. With that 10-year vision in place, you then want to cut that in half and think, where do I need to be 5 years from now in order to achieve my goals in 10 years? So what's my midpoint? What do I need to do in the next 5 years to be well on my way to accomplishing these things in 10 years? And then do that same thing again for your 1-year vision. You're really going to ask yourself, what specific steps do I need to take this year in the next 12 months to prioritize my goals and to start making progress to them? This is going to be your initial steps. Sometimes you're going to have to start things that you didn't even know you had to start because you realized that there's a fire burning in your belly and you really want to pull this thing off. So now you've just created a vision plan for 10 years, 5 years, and 1 year of your life.
It's interesting because as you were walking through that, I go back to me walking through this, us walking through this as a family, and within the next 10 years, I will probably no longer be in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the end of my law enforcement career. I'll be retired, and one of the things that we talked about was being able to provide some leadership tips, some leadership guide, a podcast for those that are in law enforcement to help them through their career as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
You had made the comment early on in this podcast that you say we a lot
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to this law enforcement career, and that is so true. It's a partnership as we go through this. You can't go through a 40-year career in law enforcement and still be married to the same person without this being a we type of process. You're as invested in it as I am. Our roles are just different in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that goes into the field every day, but you're a part of my career.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talked about what does it look like to prepare others for their career and how we help them move forward, it's that's how we got to where we are today doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that it was in the 1-year goal, but it was certainly within the 5-year goals that I had set, that we were able to start this, and here we are. So
and here we are.
That's it's been something that has always been in the back of my mind. It's something that we've brought up on occasion, and we've even brought other people into the fold that have kind of caught that energy and caught that desire to do
Mm-hmm.
something for those that are in law enforcement. So
Yeah. There's a lot more to this life plan process. And when I present the workshop, I also provide a goal setting segment, how to create goals that you're actually going to accomplish, and then offer also a daily planning exercise to help you make sure that you work on your goals in some way, big or small, every single day. Too many times we have a goal or a dream or a vision. Sometimes we even write those down. But unless we remind ourselves that that's our goal, that's our dream, that's our vision, we forget about it. We put it in a drawer. We don't ever even take the first steps to start moving toward it. And that's really what this entire process is about. You said earlier, I'm a certified business coach, and I really, really love to help people reach their dreams and their goals. My certification is with Business Made Simple, and it allows me to share a workshop called Hero on a Mission. And I've presented this again to a lot of different law enforcement gatherings. We've done it with Academy cadets, where I think it's really the most powerful. Again, just like you said, I wish we'd have had this so much sooner in our lives. It could have made such a huge difference. So I just want to encourage the audience today to create a life plan, to start it, to start working on the fire in your belly and the things that you want to accomplish. Don't put those dreams on a shelf. Let's get them down, dust them off, and actually start working to them. When you have a life plan, you're going to know what to focus on every single day. You're going to make real progress towards your goals. It might not be fast. When we first had the vision to start a podcast, I'm looking at my watch going, when are we going to start? How about now? How about today? And you're just trying to hold me back a little bit. So it took years to put this in process. But when the time's right, the time's right. And now we're ready, because we're not just at the idea phase now. We've had time to develop I'm telling you that I'm learning to be patient. I'm not good at it, but I'm getting there. You also won't feel, when you have a plan in place, like you're wasting your life. You won't feel that itch to, like, I just don't want to go home and sit down and watch TV one more night. Like, I'd really love to do something productive with my life. And you'll feel like your life has meaning and purpose. And that's a great, great way to feel. So again, just encourage people to just write some things down, create a life plan, save this podcast episode to a favorite and listen to it again so that you've got the plan in place. If you've got an agency and you want me to share it, I would love to come do that as well. But
so how would people, if they wanted to get more information about this from you, how would they reach out to you? How can they find you to get additional information?
Not super active on Facebook, but I'm a little more active on Instagram and trying to build more of a presence on LinkedIn at this point. But it's Cathy McIntosh Coach is my handle. More importantly, my website is CathyMcIntosh.com, and it's Cathy with a C. McIntosh is McIntosh.com. You can find me there. Send me just a note through the website, and I'd love to get back in touch with you.
That's all for this week's episode of the Elevate Your Call to Service podcast. Follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. We invite you to visit our website at leleaders.com for our free guide, 10 questions to consider before putting in for your next promotion. Until next time, stay safe and remember, you have the power to make a difference. Thank you for your commitment to law enforcement. We are honored to be a part of your journey to success. Let's elevate our call to service together.